I am only interested in beginnings. For there is so much hope at the beginning. The end has no merit, except to demonstrate how badly that hope has been misplaced.
I wonder what she'll do wrong today.
This is Matilda Gillespie, although she preferred her maiden name, Matilda Cavendish.
Thank you, Dr. Blakeney. I'm sorry I had to subject you to such a...
Oh, did you think I'd become hysterical?
No. I never thought anything of the kind.
I prescribed her 2 tablets of coproxamol 4 times a day. I also gave her diclofenac or misoprostol, but only when she had a crisis, when she was virtually crippled by the pain.
Thank you.
What's that thing?
It's a Scolds Bridle, a primitive instrument of repression. When you take it off, you'll find that there's a sharp metal bit that presses. So, in the Middle Ages, they were used to shut up scolds. That is, nagging women.
Barbaric.
It's been in her family for years.
What about the nettles? The flowers?
Maybe she wanted to look like Ophelia.
Ophelia?
A character from Hamlet. She drowned herself with a garland of flowers.
Shakespeare. What was she like? Was she the type to kill herself?
Is there a type, Inspector Cooper?
It's Sergeant. Well?
Very proud, very snobbish, very intolerant, arrogant, with a vicious tongue. I liked her.
Why?
Because she was clever, with a dry sense of humor. Because in another age, she could have done so much more. Because in the end, she was vivid and rather fine. And no, despite the pain of her arthritis, She was not the type to kill herself.
You sure?
Look, I have a lot to do. You have my home number. I'm either there or in the surgery. I have no other life.
Thank you.
Jenny has the only key to the back door.
Who's Jenny?
You daft. Her.
Jenny Speed and Bob Speed. Right.
Robert. He likes to be called Robert.
Duncan Orloff?
Yes. Come in, Inspector.
It's Sergeant.
Sorry about the high security. One has to be so careful these days. Violet, dear, this is Sergeant Cooper, a detective. He has to ask us some questions.
Yes, I understand.
Hello, I'm sorry to put you through this.
Would you like to sit down?
Mrs. Orloff, did you hear anything or see anything out of the ordinary over the weekend?
Was she raped?
No. Whatever gave you that idea?
They do such terrible things, these gangs from Bournemouth. Jenny Speed, her cleaner, said Matilda was like Christ. Did they crucify her?
In all probability, Mrs. Gillespie committed suicide. She was found in the bath, wearing a Scolds Bridle. That's a kind of medieval...
Oh, I hated that thing. Filthy perversion.
How long have you known Mrs. Gillespie?
As long as I can remember.
Well, we keep ourselves to ourselves. Matilda was a great beauty, you know. Quite breathtaking. Well, we were all young and beautiful once. She sold us this wing of the house when I retired 5 years ago.
We never listen, but we sometimes hear. There used to be doors right through. They're blocked up now, but you can still hear. When her daughter comes down to visit her...
No, that'll be Mrs.
Lascelles.
And her granddaughter, Ruth.
Now, she's at boarding school, isn't she? Were they in the house the day Matilda died?
No.
You can't help but hear. Language worse than on Channel 4.
So you heard nothing?
Not a dicky bird. Till Jenny Speed started screaming. Of course, we went over to help. My wife tried to calm her. Well, I called you.
If Matilda committed suicide, it was her daughter drove her to it.
So that's Matilda's daughter.
Jack, it's a funeral.
And the other one's Ruth.
Presumably. I'm very grateful, Dr. Blakeney, for all you did to help my mother. There is tea at the house. I can't...
Thank you, that's very nice.
How will you get home?
I'll beg a lift. Someone's bound to be going my way.
Your husband?
What?
He doesn't hang about, does he?
He's an artist. He wants to paint her.
Can we talk?
I have patients waiting.
Please, Dr. Blakeney, I need your help. Please.
Give me a moment. Goodbye, Matilda. Hope you find some peace now.
Your husband says he spent the night of the murder with an actress called Sally Benedict. In her digs in Stratford-upon-Avon. Banging our brains out.
My husband may cheat, but he does not lie. So you admit it's a murder now?
A picturesque suicide, my inspector calls it. He wants it all wrapped up.
Limited resources. Just like the health service.
It was possible, even for an arthritic old woman. She strips herself naked, she takes the barbiturates, she puts on the Scolds Bridle, fastening it round her own head, the metal bit biting into her tongue. She arranges the flowers.
Weeds.
She steps into the bath and slashes her wrist with a knife from the kitchen drawer.
Why the bath? Why the weeds? Why no note?
Why the Scolds Bridle?
Why indeed. Pills are so much better way of silencing a woman.
If I prove this is murder, if I catch a murderer, I might just be able to retire on an inspector's pension.
But is this about your pension or Matilda's death?
It's about both.
You're an honest man, Sergeant Cooper.
Come on, boys. Doctor said I think we began to swim. Ah, my shoe came off. Come on.
There you are, Jane. I hope you're proud of me. If you want to get off, I'll look up.
Oh, bless you.
Was Paul all right after the funeral?
Well, just about. He's very brave, but he will panic if I'm late.
Run along. Dr. Hewitt and I are having a bite to eat anyway to discuss the practice business. So, I'll see you tomorrow.
You see, bye.
Crowned with rank fumiter and fallow weeds, with burdock, hemlock, nettles, cuckoo flowers.
Hamlet.
King Lear. Different thing entirely if it's King Lear. She could not stand the pain of an ungrateful daughter. She killed herself. If she'd been forced into the bridle, there'd be marks and scratches around her head. If she'd struggled at all, it would have chafed her forehead.
Not if it was wedged by the sponge we found in the bath.
Look, the only other person with a key to the house was Jenny Speed, the cleaner, who A, is far too simple to do this, and B, has a cast-iron alibi. There's not the slightest sign of a forced entry. Everyone else who had access to the house has an alibi. Nothing was stolen. There are no bruises on the body indicating a struggle.
Why wear the Scolds Bridle?
I don't know. Maybe she thought she might lose her nerve and shout for help. Look, Coop, an unhealthy obsession with one case is just the sort of thing the Police Promotions Board will pick you up on. They'll also look at your timesheets. They'll calculate the excessive overtime you've been putting in on this.
Where are you going to, dressed up like a penguin anyway?
Charity Gala, Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra. The Jupiter. Mozart's Last Symphony.
All right, all knees up.
Well, don't knock it. Most of the police committee will be there. Oh, and don't wear that tie to your promotions board.
You're late. Spend all day wrestling for breath and you're bloody late.
Please, Paul, don't. Not tonight.
You're paying me back, aren't you? Taking your revenge.
You know that's not true, Paul.
Matilda's dead. And you want me dead too.
I know how you suffer, my darling. Believe me, I do. But you mustn't upset yourself. The past is over and forgotten.
Hard day at the office, dear.
Practice meeting. Should we or should we not have a nice modern clinic and scrap all of the little village clinics?
And let the halt and the lame crawl towards treatment as best they can.
Joanna Lassells, naturally.
It's a beginning.
Jack, I've had enough.
I'm not surprised. The hours you work, then having to have supper with that pompous old fart Hewitt as well. What are you gonna do?
I want a divorce. Moving from London, that was going to be our new beginning, Jack. This house, your perfect studio, forgive and forget. But I am not a saint, Jack. You said you would never see Sally Benedict again. Don't you dare speak. You told Sergeant Cooper that you were with her the night of the murder.
It's a civic duty to lie to the police.
Oh, please, no jokes. I am tired of being mocked. Because you go through life with a paintbrush tied to your brick.
Can I say something now?
No! I am tired of taking chemicals to make myself barren while you spray your seed through equity. I don't want to have to organize another abortion for another of your bastards, especially
when I've always refused to give you a child.
I want a divorce.
Well, what can I say? Huh? Since you're judge, jury, executioner, believe what you bloody well like. I make no secret of where I go.
Even your betrayals demand an audience now.
Hello?
You took your time.
Who's that?
Just a minute. I can't talk now.
Baby needs new shoes.
I've sent it. You're bleeding. bleeding me dry. How can I give you what I haven't got?
You know what I'll do?
Please.
Jane? Who was that?
Double glazing.
Bastards.
Send the divorce papers to your old flame, the ghastly Keith Smollett. I'll be going for a 50-50 split, so don't get too attached to the house. I'll clear the studio as soon as I've found somewhere else.
What's the matter? No.
You think Matilda committed suicide?
I don't much care. She's quite the nastiest woman I've ever met.
Oh.
No, I refuse to be a hypocrite about her. If she rang the surgery, she spoke to me like a dim servant, even though we'd grown up together. She was always the most beautiful, you know. It was her the boys wanted to dance with. Her the boys wanted. Knocked us all for 6 when she chose James Gillespie to marry.
Why?
Well, he was very handsome and dashing and always beautifully dressed, but I mean, he was such an obvious one, you know. Well, gay, I think, is a modern word. Still, she was pregnant when she married him, so he must have got it up at least once. They went to live in London. All too glittering for us down here.
And what happened to him?
Well, they divorced and he went to live in Hong Kong.
You never heard from him again?
I'm afraid you've got a very busy morning. They all want you.
Oh. What have you done?
That'll be Mummy's solicitor. Ruth, dearest, let him in. I think he's called Dougal.
It's Duggan. Tim Duggan.
I really don't know why he wants you here.
I am here as one of the executors of the estate of Mrs. Matilda Beryl Gillespie of Cedar House, Fontwell, Dorset. In a moment I will give you copies of her last will and testament, which supersedes all other wills made by Mrs. Gillespie. About a month ago, she asked me here to make an inventory of her possessions, purely to avoid any acrimonious arguments between the relative parties after the will has been read.
I have never seen the point of this vulgar and debased medium before. However, the prospect of talking to you, Joanna, no doubt quietly seething, and Ruth, with your ridiculous tantrums, seems too good to pass up. Sarah, I apologize in advance for dragging you into this cursed family. But in the short time I have known you, I have realized that you are a very special person, with the authority and integrity to take up the burden I am to place on your shoulders. I was raped for the first time by my Uncle Lionel when I was 13. My father, Sir William, the supremely respectable MP, connived in this because he needed his brother Lionel's money. We had no money of our own. When I became pregnant by my own uncle, my father, to avoid a scandal, married me off to James Gillespie, of whom the best thing that can be said is that he never raped a woman. Joanna is Lionel's daughter. Joanna, I schemed, I plotted, I struggled to give you a decent upbringing when my so-called husband, James Gillespie, had to flee from England to Hong Kong after an incident in a public lavatory in Hendon. When your father, Uncle Lionel, became old and maudlin, he made a will and tried to leave his money to his natural daughter, Joanna. It was this will, Joanna, you found one day and came out screaming that the money was all yours and you would throw me out onto the streets. We shall see who is thrown onto the streets. Lionel's will is worthless. He would have had to go to court and swear to having sex with his brother's underage child. When his brother, my father, explained this to him, he killed himself with an overdose of barbiturates, the only decent thing he ever did. I came back here to take care of my father, whose own health was failing. Women, take courage from this. Ruth, my dear, men get old first, then they are in our power. And when they drink like my father, they get old fast. Soon we are wheeling the tyrants around in their chairs. I made the old fool wear the Scolds Bridle if he whined at me. Ruth, I had intended to leave the money to Joanna and Cedar House to you. However, since you turned 17, your behavior has, even by modern standards, appalled me. Despite the exorbitant fees I am paying to Southcliffe, you are growing into a ghastly little monster to rival your mother. I have come to realize that neither you nor Joanna are capable of a decent or generous thought. So, I intend to leave my money to Dr. Sarah Blakeney of Mill House, Long Upton, Dorset. Insofar as I have ever felt any fondness for anyone, I have felt it for you, Sarah. Don't be angry with me. I must have died without changing my mind, or you wouldn't be watching this. So remember me for our friendship, not for this burden I have laid on you. Joanna and Ruth will hate you as they have hated me. And they will accuse you of all manner of beastliness, just as they have accused me. But what's done cannot be undone. So take it all with my blessing. And use it to promote something worthwhile in my memory.
This means nothing. A video will has no standing.
Which is why your mother had me draw up and witness this. You'll find it follows her words to the letter, dotting every I and crossing every T.
I'm not going to let you get away with this. Well, I refuse to accept the bequest anyway.
Well, you certainly have that right. In which case the money goes to the Seaton Retirement Home for Donkeys. If Dr. Blakeney didn't want it, Mrs. Gillespie said it should benefit deserving asses.
If I fight it?
Well, I'm not your solicitor, but my considered professional opinion is you will lose. My advice, and bearing in mind Dr. Blakeney's initial refusal to accept the legacy, is that you should all sit down together and work something out between you.
When can I meet you?
Shall we say Thursday at my office?
The sooner the better. I'll get someone to cover for me. Now, I must go. Poor Dr. Blakeney. I think you're beginning to realize how ruthless my mother was. The dictator is dead. Long live the dictator.
I have never seen the point of this vulgar and debased medium before.
Oh, shit! Shit! Oh, shit! Shit! Shit!
You bugger up the time.
I'm so bloody hungry. How could she do it?
Most people would be delighted to inherit well over £1 million.
It's never as much as that.
The house, a collection of clocks, shares. That's your solicitor's estimate.
Dick Duggan is not my solicitor. He's Matilda's solicitor. That is precisely the point. All her life, she's used her money to manipulate people. Now she's using it on me. I hate it. I hate her.
Did you kill her, Dr. Blakeney?
What?
You prescribed the barbiturates. You have no alibi, and you have one hell of a motive.
But I didn't know.
You are the prime suspect.
You don't believe I killed her, do you?
One of your dependents might have done it.
What dependence? I have no dependence.
Your husband, Jack, is dependent.
Jack doesn't care about money. Anyway, we're separated.
You were together at the funeral.
Come with me. This. This. this? This is what Jack cares about.
I hadn't realised.
No. I don't suppose you would.
The way you all talked about him, I thought he was just a wanker. I didn't realise it was so bloody good.
Why are you so keen to go to university all of a sudden? A few weeks ago you were saying you weren't even going to bother with A-levels.
I don't want to end up like you, spreading my legs for money.
Better a whore than a thief. Matilda kept a list of all the things you stole. Fortunately for you, the police were too stupid to find it.
She wouldn't have minded. She always gave me everything I wanted.
Oh, perhaps I'll give it to them. Let you rot in prison for a bit.
Perhaps I'll tell them how you tried to kill me when I was a baby, how you drove Daddy to his death, how you killed Matilda.
How you were here, not in school, on the day she died.
I would never have hurt Granny. I loved her. She told me how Daddy loved me. How when I was a baby he would stare at me for hours, cradling me in his arms.
He was stoned, my darling girl. Get this into your thick little A-level head. Your daddy only loved one thing. Heroin. But he was beautiful.
Don't touch me.
Certain lights you're so like him.
Leave me.
And to the third and fourth generation, Matilda's poison's in us all. And it's worse than any drug.
You two know each other, I think.
Hello, Coop. I'm saying nothing without my lawyer present.
Well, it's just a few questions, but if you want me to make it official...
Not to you. To Sarah. The wife and I are getting a divorce, and she's tricky. I'm not very worldly, you see, Coop.
Jack is renowned for his wit. I've heard all his jokes, so if there's nothing else, I'll leave you.
Just so you know, I've decided to stay at Cedar House with Joanna Lassells and the little amuse-girl, Ruth.
Amuse what?
It means titbit. Literally amusement for the palate.
An artist needs room to paint and some stimulation. Not the spectacle of holier-than-thou women nailing themselves to their own suffering.
You bastard.
You've probably heard that I exploit my wife. True. She supports me and I paint, but I give her something priceless in return.
The pictures?
No. Though she'll doubtless make a fortune from those when I'm dead.
What then?
Yes, what? I'd really like to know.
I give her the passion she is incapable of.
Do you think anyone's even faintly amused by you anymore, Jack? 50-50. That's chance. I will sell.
I'll give it to a donkey's home first. There you are, Sergeant. I've done the 3rd degree for you.
Ask your question.
She doesn't take any prisoners, does she? Just lie still and breathe deeply.
I'm going to be sick.
How long were you intimate with Mrs. Gillespie?
Intimate?
Well, I would think painting someone in the nude was pretty intimate.
Oh, the idea excites you, doesn't it, Coop? My wife excites you, too. It's funny, I thought you'd be more the type to dream of peeling the gym slips slowly off pubescent schoolgirls.
Did you paint any more pictures of her?
She commissioned a portrait. Good God, I'll have to ask my wife to honour the contract. I never thought of that. There should be some sketches there. Take a look. Yep, she was heroin. She would not be broken, not by her history, nor by her arthritis.
Somebody got the better of her?
Yeah, if I ever catch the bastard, I'll lock my hands around his throat and squeeze the life out of him.
Did you love her?
As a subject, yes. But not in the way I love Sarah. Matilda suggested the nudity. It was her idea.
And the Scolds Bridle? Was that her idea, too?
Yeah. This is me. This is my pain. Take me as I am.
And did you?
No. I don't generally sleep with the people I paint. There's no need.
Well, that's a relief.
Why?
Because I'd like you to paint my portrait. Perhaps it might help me see who I really am. Do you have a picture of your wife?
You don't like it?
No, I think it's bloody brilliant. It's not like her, it is her. All that strength, all that infuriating honesty. It's like looking at her through a glass. That makes her more real.
Well, of course, it's barely finished, this area.
I don't know how you do it, but I'd pay 2,000 quid for a portrait of me and the wife by you.
Well, perhaps we could make a deal.
Not that I have 2,000 quid, but if I did.
Pour a bit of that in then, boys. That's what we like. Okay, now that pan to be really hot, you can see. That's it, you can see that. That's it. Be careful now. And what I want you to do, because we're going to be doing some stir-frying, is grab hold of your towel there, and when you're stir-frying, you're putting anything else in, your hand's protected, and you grab it like that, okay?
I want you to do it where you did it to her. I want you to do it to me on Mother's bed.
Hey!
Duncan, ring the police.
Drinking?
Why not, after what I've heard?
If you don't listen, you won't get upset.
Ruth called her mother a whore, and apparently Joanna says Ruth was stealing from Matilda. There's evidence they should know.
It's none of our business.
What about when the place is sold? What happens to us then? We could have anyone living next door. Noisy games, parties, sex orgies. Oh, my God.
It's pronounced orgies. Now take a Valium, have another sherry, and lie down. I will make the supper.
Do you know something you haven't told the police? Do you know who killed Matilda?
Oh, pull yourself together. It's not our business.
This is boring.
Don't bloody move.
I'll do anything you want, Jack.
Would you wear the Scolds Bridle for me?
No.
Well, that's lucky, because Sergeant Cooper probably takes it home every night anyway.
She made me wear it as a child. It was the only time she ever showed me any affection. She'd put her arm around my waist and rub her cheek against the cold iron framework. By the time I was 14, she'd only have to show it me and I'd have a fit. When I found out Lionel was my father, I saw she was frightened of me. Frightened I'd go mad like him. I'll do anything that frigid bitch you're married to refuses to do.
Leave Sarah out of it.
Bet she's childless because she's such a bloody boring screw. Well, let's see this picture then. Show me my soul.
Gladly.
Well, you wouldn't want that Dr. Sarah touching me. Not now.
Oh, is that what the gossips are saying? I was wondering why my surgery was thinning out.
As far as I'm concerned, if you killed that old bitch to get her money, good luck to you.
Ah. Head's not engaged yet. You were wrong.
A few more days then before I'm into the farrowing crate.
What else are they saying?
Oh, it's just talk.
Tell me.
They say your husband left you to live with Joanna Lascelles because he was so shocked that you'd use your position as GP to turn Mrs. Gillespie against her family.
Oh, and this is the same Jack Blakeney that the gossips love to hate because he's living off his wretched wife.
Oh, I didn't mean to upset you, love.
Oh, that's all right. First things first. This is your third, and you are not a sow. Despite your jokes about farrowing crates. She'll come quickly, so be a bit careful.
She? How do you know that?
Oh, I don't. It's just that with those two boys herring around the farm, you could use someone sensible. So ring me if you've got any worries.
It's only a baby.
Polly, I'm being serious.
You be careful too.
I'm sorry, love, I'll be a couple of hours yet.
You have to?
Yes.
Is it that bloody murder?
Yes. I'm sorry. Did June finish her essay?
She says nearly.
Oh.
She's out with Wendy.
Oh, she's not staying out late again, is she?
The books she needs aren't back in the library till tomorrow.
No. Oh, all right.
Try not to be too late.
Yes, I'll be as quick as I can.
Ruth Lascelles was in Cedar House the day Mrs. Gillespie died. She stole some earrings. Joanna knows who stole them. Joanna Lascelles is a prostitute in London. Ask her what she spends her money on. Ask her why she tried to kill her daughter. Ask her why Mrs. Gillespie thought she was mad. Block capitals, good punctuation, spelling. Well, it's not Jenny Speed.
Ruth was under the watchful eye of her headmistress.
She couldn't have got there. I mean, Southcliff's what?
50 miles.
She'd need a car.
She can't drive. Sarah. I'd better be going.
Maybe someone gave her a lift.
Yes. I'm sorry it's not possible for you to use my study. You'll be fine in the drawing room. This way.
How many girls have you here?
350.
How many teachers?
36. Here we are. And here is Ruth. Ruth, I will stay with you if you like while you talk to the detective.
That won't be necessary, Miss Hedges. I've been questioned by Sergeant Cooper before. I'll be all right.
I'll see that you're not disturbed.
Well, this is quite a place. I wish my daughters had your advantages.
It's not as good as it looks.
Shall we sit down?
I think I'll stand.
Miss Lascelles, my daughter June is about your age, doing her A-levels like you. I don't want to come in here like some kind of heavy. Let's just talk as I would to her.
I don't see why you come here at all. It's not exactly going to make my life easy. I don't suppose you know what a boarding school is like.
No, I don't. But I do know when a young girl's got herself in a mess, when she could use some help.
I'm not a young girl. I'm nearly 18 years old.
17 and 2 months. Why were you stealing from Matilda?
I wasn't.
I got a list. Who told you to steal these things?
Granny always gave me things.
Who gave you a lift to Cedar House on the day Matilda died?
I hitched.
So you admit you were there?
I want a lawyer.
Right. I'll get Miss Hedges in. I'll have to call a squad car. They'll come in with headlights flashing and siren blaring, and 350 pairs of eyes will watch you being taken out in handcuffs.
Wait.
Go on later. If someone comes in, hand it to me. I'll cop their rap. I found that list in Matilda's bedside table. I copied it and then put it back. It's a very professional list, small, valuable items. You're not a professional thief, but he is, isn't he? What's his name?
I don't.
Where were you fencing it? Is it drugs?
No, I would never touch drugs.
Ruth, I look at you. I see an intelligent young woman who's done her best in a very difficult life. But some things you can't handle on your own. Let me help. Look, I don't care about the thieving. What's more important is Matilda's death.
came to do the tarmac. I'd sneak out and we'd go on trips in his van, walk on the beach, eat fish suppers.
Did you have sex?
We made love in his van. Then his business started to go wrong. Granny was so rich. I mean, if I'd asked her for money, she'd have given it. He gave me a Polaroid camera. I took photos of her antiques. Then he told me what to steal.
So he never even went in the house? How long has this been going on?
All last term. And this summer.
Nearly 5 months. What's his name? Please.
Dave.
Dave Hughes? Bastard!
I never said anything, you just guessed. He can't blame me, can he? God, what will I do? I'll get expelled and I'll never get my A-levels. My only chance to get away from him is to go to university far away.
You have very bravely told the truth. Now you will see how the burden lifts. We will go to your headmistress. I will tell her what kind of man has led you astray. She will understand.
Very busy. If you come to your husband, he's painting.
I've come to talk to you.
Can I come in?
I don't know what Jack's problem is. It's a perfectly sweet little summer house.
Shut up about Jack. He has a habit of intruding on every conversation I have. I've come to build some bridges.
Oh, very good.
Please, Joanna, we have to be rational.
I went through a lifetime of hell with Matilda and I got nothing. You sweet talk her for a few months and you get the lot.
I admired your mother.
Some people admire Hitler. I hated her guts. She's down there pulling our strings. Even now she's in hell, we're still dancing to her tune.
If I give up the money, you will have to fight the charity for it. If we leave this to the lawyers, you and I will die with nothing, and they'll still be pocketing fees.
Female solidarity, is it? If you had any idea how ridiculous you are, Mrs. Frigid Dr. Bladen.
Think about Ruth, We have to sort something out quickly for her sake.
Leave my daughter out of this. What would you know about children, anyway?
Oh, please, Joanna.
Is this how you talk to my mother? How she must have fallen for the sweetly reasonable Dr. Sarah, always ready with the pills and the needle. Maybe you think I haven't got a case. But juries aren't stupid. Wait till they hear about your husband painting her in the nude. Wait till they see the evidence of his sketches.
We have got to make a deal. I don't want a deal. I want surrender. Now I have to go, to get back to work. You can let yourself out.
You're here at last.
What are you doing here?
Yeah, I couldn't paint in that candle-lit summer house. Something I had to finish, so I came back.
God.
Good job I did. Coop was on the doorstep with Ruth.
Ruth. This is the Chateau Trollong-Mondo.
It's very nice.
Stop back. Grab yourself a glass.
Deal with you later.
Don't speak.
Saint-Emilion, Grand Cru Classé, about £50 bottled.
How the other half live?
Shut up. Yesterday, Polly Graham informs me that I'm regarded as a murderer by most of my patients, whilst the remaining few have invented imaginary diseases so they can come and gawp at me like I'm a freak. This afternoon, abuse from your new girlfriend, Joanna. This evening, ex-husband and Sergeant Plod swilling down wine that I had pathetically laid down for our 10th wedding anniversary, as if it were Budweiser.
Ruth's asleep in the spare room.
She's been expelled. It's my fault.
Coop persuaded her to confess, to make a clean breast of it to the school. Apparently she'd been having an affair with a minor criminal.
I thought they'd understand. They'd help her. I never thought they'd chuck her out in her ear.
But surely they rang her mother.
Correct me if I've got this wrong, Coop. She can sleep in a cardboard box for all I care. I'm not having her here. I've got too much to do.
We know this Dave Hughes. We've never been able to pin anything on him. He preys on lonely young girls from rich families. He seduces them, then he gets them to steal for him. He's very clever. If the girls get caught, their families refuse to let them testify. He even gets them to fence the stuff for him, too. It's a sweet operation, practically foolproof.
And there's something else.
He has some way of punishing the girls. Some way of enslaving them.
She's absolutely terrified he's going to come back and get her. Get her and do it to her again.
Do these doors lock?
Sergeant Cooper's here, I'm here. Nobody's going to hurt you.
Time for bed, darling.
Mayor had another go at me last night about car radios. He said it's beginning to affect the tourist trade.
Tell him the kids need them to buy drugs.
Very funny.
I got the landlord of the Three Pigeons says he saw Hughes's van in his car park the day Matilda was murdered.
We have to do something visible. High profile. Dramatic.
I want to pick Hughes up. Scare the shit out of that bastard.
That could be just the sort of thing they'd like to see.
Hughes doesn't make car radios?
I know that, but they don't.
What's all this then?
Young Crime Fighter of the Year. I'm presenting a cup to the kid who's won. I'm making a speech.
Shall I pick him up then, Dave Hughes? Well?
No, I'll do it. Tomorrow morning, first light. He'll have a hangover, and we'll probably make the breakfast news. Hello, young crime fighter.
Tell me you love me.
I love you.
I'd never betray you, Dave. Never.
You better not. Just remember what happens. What happens if you're a stupid bitch.
He calls it a training session. There are 5 of them in the squat with him at Palace Road. The oldest is very old, 40. The youngest only 15. They all wear tracksuits and trainers like they're going for a run. If a girl's been bad, if she's tried to escape from him or grass to her parents, then she doesn't know what will happen. Dave picks her up like for a normal date, and then drives in his van to the harbour. The girl is put in the back of the van, while Dave goes for a long run around the docks. The others take turns with her. One after another, after another. 2 and 3 at once. They drink their cans and watch and joke. You filthy whore! You slag! You know you love it, you dirty tart. She can't do anything. They're too strong. Again and again and again, so she'll stink of them all her life. That's when I got pregnant.